Garoppolo. Thrown down. Brian Burns gets there. Spider-Man. What a pass rush by Burns. See how quickly he got to the edge and got
This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav and Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you Bleav? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter. And welcome into a brand new edition of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by the Panthers all-time leading rusher, Jonathan Stewart. I don't know if y'all know, but today is National Signing Day, and Schuyler Callihan, besides what he does for us here at Bleav in Panthers, he also is a Sports Illustrated beat writer for West Virginia, as well as the Charlotte Hornets and the Carolina Panthers. So huge day for him. So he couldn't be here. He's in the middle of dudes signing and moving in the portal and all that kind of stuff for West Virginia. So he couldn't be with us today. Glad you guys can be with us. I saw when I logged in, there was some people already waiting in the room for us. I got to apologize. We all three of us have holiday stuff going on, other things happening where it was a little bit harder to coordinate it this week to get you a new episode. But of course, you knew he was going to come through in the clutch. And we're glad you're here with us today. Loaded show today, as a matter of fact. Stu's bright spots from Sunday. Carolina Panthers 9-7 winners over the Atlanta Falcons to move to 2-12 on the season. More importantly, possibly ruining Atlanta's chances to get into the playoffs. So we'll get into Stu's bright spots for that. Bryce Young's drive to win the game. Has Bryce Young finally arrived? I've been on record the past couple of weeks saying that I needed to see some kind of #1 pick type moment from Bryce. Did we see that Sunday in that final drive? 17-play masterpiece, going 90 yards down the field to set up the winning score. So we'll talk about that. We finally need to sit down and talk about Ejero Evero's defense. I don't understand how this is possible, but we're 2-12 and we have the third-ranked defense in yards allowed in the whole NFL, and we're third in pass defense. I'm just like, how is this even possible? So we'll talk about that and what does that maybe mean for Evero possibly in the future with the Panthers. And then our boy Cam Newton. Cam Newton was all in the news last week. It was after we taped, so we didn't get a chance to really discuss any of it. But I want to get into his game manager, game changer comments and a little bit about what he was talking on 4th and 1 on his pod about wanting to be team president of the Carolina Panthers. And I want to go more into why that would make sense, because I've had fears of us losing our identity over the next couple of years with the way the personnel and everything's been going on. But we'll get into all of that and more. It's open mailbag. All the guys that are already in here, again, we appreciate you guys stopping by. You can drop your stuff in here, like Dallin. I know you all have thought about this, but I know you all have already thought about this, but I can't stop thinking about what if Bryce had Christian and DJ. C-Mac is on an MVP campaign right now in San Francisco. The dude's killing it. And we all kind of knew that was his thing. And I mean, we can't change the past now. He ain't here now. So hopefully, lesson learned with him not being here. And San Francisco probably the best team in the NFL. Before I turn it over to Stu and his bright spots from Sunday, a quick word from our friends over at Bet Online. All the major sports are in action this week with the college football playoffs ready to kick off. Bet Online is your #1 destination for all your sports wagering info, including news for pro football, the NBA, upcoming fights, and NHL games this season. Head to the website today to get into the action and see all the updated odds for the week. Remember to use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts, and where we start typically is the box score, but it's Wednesday, so we won't spend a whole lot of time on the Falcons game. But 9-7 winners, no touchdowns, so it's 3 field goals. The defense played lights out. Stu, we started a new segment last week. Stu's bright spots. Stu, what'd you take away from the Panthers 9-7 win versus Atlanta?
Well, I mean, you hit it on right on the nail with the defense out the gate, right? I mean, we want to talk about bright spots or any type of, positive indicators that Carolina Panthers are headed in a good direction. The defense, I mean, they've been solid all year. They haven't gotten any help from the offense majority of the year. I think, you can hang your hat on the fact that Evero's got that defense, locked in. Their depth, they've been injured throughout the year, just like the offensive offensive skill guys and offensive line has had their issues throughout the year, but for whatever reason, that defense, man, they figured out how to play together within a new scheme, which is really tough to do. Going from 4-3 to 3-4, you got guys on that team that might not, on paper fit, a 3-4 scheme, but they were really well coached. So there's a lot to say to that. There's a lot to say to that. So I would take that as a bright spot. But Eddie Pinheiro, man, thank you.
Well done. Yeah. People don't understand. It was a downpour. Like they were playing in a nor'easter. Like
yes, this is not kicking indoor. This is not kicking in September. This is cold weather, December football. And to be able to, lock in, and make those kicks, I mean, that's a clutch player right there. And that's exactly what you want. He's at he's right now performing at the top of his position right now, making clutch kicks like that. You don't have teams that have kickers that will do that. And he did it for us in a time in need. And then the obvious, my favorite, Chuba Hubbard. He's a dog.
He's doing his thing.
He's been a dog.
Yeah.
And shout out to him, making the most of his opportunities and making a statement. Really, making a case, for, setting himself up for next year as far as being the talk of, one of the top tier running backs. Finishing, in December is what a running back dreams of doing. Late November, December, if you're getting into the playoffs, that's when your team is going to depend on that position the most. The weather, the elements, if you can move the chains and keep the momentum going on the offensive side of the ball and keeping the defense on the sideline, getting them rested up because it's been a lot of banging, throwing their bodies around throughout the whole year, give them an opportunity to get some rest and create some longevity, for their end of the season. I mean, especially you got one more game added to the regular season. It's huge. So Chuba, man, shout out to you. You're the bright spot. You have been all year. So thank you.
Before we go into first Eddie Pinheiro, because I was just thinking about this, how it's funny how things kind of come full circle. Because remember last year, that Atlanta game, he missed the was it extra point first, and then he missed the field goal. Well, the extra point because it got pushed out because of the penalty. He missed that, remember, and then he missed an overtime, I believe, and Atlanta ended up winning the game for it to come back full circle of almost a calendar year later for him to kick a field goal to win it against Atlanta and possibly push them out of playoff contention. That's gotta feel some sort of good.
Yeah, definitely, man. You always want to hear those stories where a guy, rises above, the circumstances like that. And, it says a lot about the special teams coach right now that's taken over the head coaching role, his understanding and his belief in special teams, and putting, the game in the hand of, Eddie to come through in the clutch like that is huge.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because there was I think it was end of the first quarter, he called a timeout because they were getting ready to punt, and they were about to switch field or whatever, and the wind was blowing a certain way, so he called timeout right before the quarter ended so that they could punt with the wind as opposed to going into the commercial break, switching it, and then punting into the wind. And I was sitting there watching on TV, and at first I'm like, why is he calling a timeout? And it literally only took me like 30 seconds to be like, okay. That's
game management right there.
That's game management. That's good stuff. I saw that, I was like, okay.
As a coach, as a head coach, those are the things that you can control, right?
Right.
You can control, putting your team in the best position to win, which was field position the whole game, right? Okay. How do we get in position to score? And for our scores, fans would love to see touchdowns, I mean, the Carolina Panthers locker room would love to see touchdowns, but in a game like that where the elements are so strong, and you've had a year of struggle, and it's a division opponent, not just an opponent, but I mean a rival. I mean, at the end of the day, Buccaneers, Falcons, Saints, they're all rivals, if you ask me. But
yeah, I don't know if we have
you gotta get what you can take.
Yeah,
and that's exactly kind of how we played that game. And so kudos to him for being thorough with his game management.
Shout out to the fans too that came to the stadium to watch that game, because we kind of got drugged last week on social media. The whole tickets 45 cents and all that kind of, I don't even know if that's even accurate or not, but I know they were as low as, the resales were as low as $5-10 for some of the spot. I did see that. But there was a nor'easter on top of us. The team's 1-12. Like, there's an interim head coach in place. I get it, but for people to just be like, the Panthers can't even sell tickets and blah, blah, blah. For the fans that did come and did watch that game and got rewarded with a win. I have a buddy who I went to high school with and graduated with, and he was posting on Facebook that because the prices were so low, he took his 2 little boys to the game for their first ever Carolina Panthers game live. And he posted at the end of it, they're sitting there, and their first picture, they're kind of like, what are we doing? Because we're sitting in the rain. Last picture, they're all excited because the team won, and it's just an experience that they'll remember forever. And a lot of people, because of the weather, they're going to remember that game more than they would have if it was sunny and 65 degrees outside. So shout out to the fans, man. Y'all, we fans, still got a heartbeat.
You guys are creating core memories. That's what I like to call it.
Let's go into the locker room right after the game. Here's special team interim head coach Chris Tabor rallying the troops.
You won the game. Defense, unbelievable. 2 turnovers. That's big time. That's big time. Hey, here's the deal. The other thing is this, guys. Offensively, kept chopping wood. Kept chopping wood, boys. Great job. Proud of you right there. Special teams, moving the ball, pinning them down there, making our kicks. That's a team win. There we go. Let's call it up. Hey, guys, keep sticking together. All right, I love all of you. I'm proud of you. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3. Family.
He did miss an opportunity to say keep pounding. I don't know why he said keep chopping or whatever he said, but he could have. There.
It's from the book. You ever read the book, Chopping Wood, Carry Water?
Nah.
I need you to go read that.
That's what's in it. Yeah. Give me some info on
that. That's what he's referring to. You know,
but I mean,
you got to continue to do the little things, the little things, and eventually, you'll reap your reward.
And it felt good as you look around that locker room, it felt like everyone's still pretty much engaged. Like, it feels like everybody wanted this win and they worked for it. Like, there's still something to say about, they're out of playoff contention. They can't win the division, yada, yada, yada. But there's still some moments they can have here this year to build next year.
This is what people, it kind of like, I let kind of the talk of, should they sit Bryce Young and all this talk, the last several weeks. But these are the reasons why you have your rookie quarterback finish out the season, so he can live through these opportunities to get better and to grow with your team. Because at the end of the day, like, not a lot of those guys are going to be back next year, but majority of the guys are going to be there next year. And so this is an opportunity for them to build chemistry, to fight for a win, and to feel what it feels like to scrap and do all you can in a messy situation and come out victorious. Because at the end of the day, they won 2 games this year so far, but a win is a win, and it feels good.
I saw somebody posted on Instagram. I'm not going to call them out completely, but they were like, I wish they would have let Bryce run it in for a touchdown or throw a touchdown at the end. That whole thing was calculated, that entire drive. Like, literally, by the time they got down there, they knew what they were going to do. They downed it. They knew they were kick field goal, walk off in the game. Like you said, a win is a win. I don't care if Bryce scores a touchdown at the end or if they kick a field goal or whatever.
He sounded like a fantasy footballer or something.
Yeah, it was like, come on, man. Like, what does it matter? Like, we're 1-12. And you're sitting there complaining about us not scoring a touchdown to win. Like, it's going to help Bryce. If anything, Bryce sounded happy that that they got the win and the method they did it. And he sounded relieved, to be honest, at the podium. And I have switched back to let him play out the season. I was on the whole, maybe we should sit him a bit.
Oh, it was you that was saying that? Ew.
I was one of them. Yeah, I almost convinced Schuyler too. I was like, come on over here with me. But what you just said especially kind of convinced me. You're right. If he's sitting, he needs to know what it feels like to win in the NFL. Yeah. He needs to know what it feels like to ruin another team's chances in the NFL. Like build up.
It feels good to just, and it's your division opponent. Like
we can
next year they're gonna remember this game. You're creating core memories.
Yeah, you need that. You need that. It's like iron sharpens iron, and I do feel like that that kind of came into play. Here's Bryce at the podium Sunday right after the win, where you can kind of tell that, my guy's super excited about notching a first win or his second win of his rookie season.
7.5 minutes to go, ball on your 5. What are you guys saying to each other in that moment?
I mean, where else would you rather be? Opportunity to go down and win the game. For me, there's no other group I'd rather do it with. We all have faith in each other. We all believe in each other. And, it was just a great opportunity. So just in the huddle, being able to look at each other, we all had the same look in each other's eyes. We all had confidence, and we were able to put together. So credit goes to my teammates, to everyone, and then to TB and Coach Tabor for managing everything.
I love the fact that
that right there that right there. If people would actually dial in and listen to the words that he just said, like you're watching a team come together. You're watching a team, you're watching culture like come together as well. Like a winning culture. Like if you look at some of these like teams that, look at some of the greatest teams like that has ever been, like in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. You look at their schedules and you look at their wins. A lot of their wins aren't blowouts. A lot of them, what I'm saying? Like
it's really rare to blow out in the NFL.
Some of those wins are like, man, why'd they only win by 2 against the Cleveland Browns or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because it was a scrappy game. It was one of those games where the other team showed up too.
Yep.
It just so happens that you have a little bit more grit. The guy that's in that huddle. You are looking at that guy in his eyes while he's sweating, while he's exhausted. And you're saying to yourself, man, I'm going to pull through for that guy. I'm pulling through for all of these guys. And so that moment of him explaining what it's like in the huddle, I know that feeling all too well, where it's, man, we got a chance. Like, where else would we want to be right now?
It's on us. Yeah,
it's on us.
We determine the end of this game. Yeah.
And so this is the build up to something special, I believe, in the Carolina Panthers. And, a rainy game like that, the controversy of fans showing up, the controversy of the year as a whole, coaching controversy, all of it. But they are in the huddle in that moment. Where else would you want to be? This is where I want to be. Yeah. That's good stuff. And that's good perspective. And that's good growth. And what I really expect for the rest of the season is we might win the rest of our games.
It's funny how it switches so quick, too. We were in the same spot last week. Like, I don't know if there's a game we can win on the schedule. And all it took, we didn't even score a touchdown. All it took was just to have that victory feeling to be like, you know what? Our division really ain't all that. And, like, they're all struggling. Like, nobody wants to win the division. I guess the Saints kind of do, but like the rest of them, it's like,
it's New Year's Eve. It's a home game. Green Bay's got to travel. They're not going to really want to be here.
They're up and down.
Their family at the house. And they're coming to play the Carolina Panthers. I mean, shoot, it's going to be sunny.
Yep.
It's going to be cold.
We can disrupt the NFC playoff picture, like literally. Like we can disrupt
be disruptors. Be that little brother in the division right now who's ruining your night.
Yeah. Go home. Why are you here?
Yeah, go. Why are you here?
Mama looking for you. Why are you here?
My girlfriend's over here. Why are you in
here? She likes me too.
Watch my cartwheel.
we got to talk. So that actually is a good segue into Bryce Young, because we've all been questioning Bryce Young and Was it the right pick? Did we give up too much and all these things? And we've been kind of just waiting for a moment from Bryce to kind of happen. And I think it finally happened Sunday on that last drive. And I'm seeing lots of folks kind of mentioning that in here. That last drive was a great experience for Bryce. Playing Bryce is going to pay tremendous dividends, learn how to win at the end of the game. And just game situations and the emotion. I saw emotion from Chuba Hubbard, Tommy Tribble, Bryce, that scramble that he had to keep the play alive. DJ Chalk with that toe tap catch on the sideline. They kept the drive going. I mean, they just.
Let's talk about that catch right there.
Yeah, because I
read something about the probability of that throw and catch. Like
in the rain.
4%. It was like 4% or something like that.
Crazy.
So,
as soon as I saw it.
So at the end of the day, Bryce is a 4%er. He is one of the 4% that will ever be able to do that throw.
That's what we needed to see. We needed to see that. Yeah, that's why he got drafted number one.
That. And clearly, Chark needed to see that too. And we think about this. One of the things I kind of felt bad about last week, coming off their loss the other week, the receivers, dropping balls and whatnot. But we got to remember, they ain't really had that many opportunities either. If you think about it, like
that's true.
Clean,
a lot of times the ball don't get there. Yeah,
clean, clear opportunities. Yeah, we've had passing downs, but a lot of those have been thrown away. At the ground, like guys not open. So like actual catchable balls, we haven't had those many opportunities. No fault to Bryce on the catchable balls or anything like that. It's just defense is being prepared for what we've been doing all along the season. Becoming a little bit one-dimensional in our scheme. But I Bleav the running game has opened up a lot for that offense, and I think if we could just continue to run Chuba until the wheels fall off, then they'll have some success.
It was good seeing Chark. It was good seeing Thielen involved. I love how they've got Bryce under center more. As each week has gone by, he's been more and more under center because I feel like he's got to learn how to do that better and more effectively, which it feels like he has. That's helped the run game, which has helped his passing game. That was probably the cleanest pocket he's had all year in terms of control and having some time. And he started slicing and dicing a little bit. He started cooking that drive in particular, and people noticed it. Here's a quick question from Mark Burks. Y'all think Frank might have had Bryce's demeanor too passive? I feel like since Frank left, BY is starting to wake up a little bit now, or is that just rose-colored lenses? I don't know if it was so much Frank kind of leaning into Bryce being passive. It started to feel more like Frank didn't really want to tinker with Bryce's mechanics or what he did. He just wanted to get through the season. And then in the offseason, I think he felt like he'd be able to sit down and work on some things like the climb in the pocket stuff that we were on last week and all that kind of stuff, because they didn't really try to correct anything Bryce was doing from preseason until Frank got let go. Really, in hindsight, like he was pretty much playing the same type of offense. It didn't really, there was no growth. They didn't really add things to it. They were just trying to run the same stuff. So he kind of looked stagnant and nothing was working. Now with the run game finally getting introduced, something that this man right here has been harping on for like 6-7 weeks, that they needed to start running this football behind Chuba. They finally started doing it. They're actually running some zone gap, it looks like, a little bit for them to run, which is what the line was good at. It's all these things we all knew coming in, that they're good at these things, and they just decided not to do them until the last month of the season. It's crazy to me. But yeah, that might have been the moment when we look back on this year, that last drive for Bryce to get the offense down the field in the weather conditions they were in.
He's a 4%.
He's 4%er. And that's actually because you're helping me. You're segueing me into things.
He on that day was the only person to make those throws in the rain and the elements.
There's how many people you think in the NFL could make a throw like that? 6, 7, maybe, like that. I mean, like it's got to be in one spot in a downpour. 35 yards downfield.
Like the probability of someone
Mahomes.
making a 4%, I would say Mahomes. I would
Burrow
say
can make that throw.
Joe Burrow.
Maybe Josh Allen. Yeah, I've seen Josh Allen throw some crazy throws. I think he probably could,
especially up there because they deal with a lot of weather elements,
snow and wind and stuff. Yeah, he probably could throw that.
Aaron Rodgers,
Rodgers.
he's back.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is off the.
We almost got an Aaron Rodgers side. Yeah, right. And you said you had this injury. What are you feeling when you're watching these updates with Aaron Rodgers and you're looking at your watch? You're like, it's December. Like, how's this dude doing this in 4 months?
Back already?
I mean, reps.
The surgeries now, man. Like the advancements that have taken place in the medical field. I mean, it's no surprise at this point. I mean, God bless them, but it seems like the New York Jets are out of the playoffs, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, they're 5-10. No, not 5-10. They're 5-9 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
5-8.
I don't know if they're gonna really put him out there for good pleasure.
Look, I think Aaron Rodgers is trying to be nice.
I think he's just trying to be nice. But
he's on some line, yo.
I ain't trying to do that again. Let's go in the off season and get this thing built up a little bit.
Was it Brad Chubb? I think he had 3 sacks this past week. I was just like, oh my gosh, Aaron Rodgers out there, he got hurt second play.
How about the Seattle Seahawks, bro?
Dude,
you remember what we said?
Yeah,
you remember our initial Super Bowl? I had been winning the Super Bowl,
and we looked at that bracket like we were like, oh, how did we do this? Like, how did this even happen? How did we get here? Seattle
Drew Lock was that guy. He had a wonderful for like that last drive.
Oh yeah, I like the backpack thing that he does. When he starts getting ready, it's like it goes on about his bit. I like that Drew Lock. Yeah. Unfortunately, they have the San Francisco 49ers in their division, and the 49ers look like the class of the NFL. Like, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
Listen, Christian McCaffrey is running on all cylinders right now.
Yep.
I mean, he just surpassed Jerry Rice, Hall of Famer, in touchdowns. Like, come on, bro. Like, he's like, it's crazy. It's crazy to watch. Like,
it is.
He's the best in the business. No question about it. The best in the business. Everybody talking about Purdy. Look, Purdy is really good, but Christian McCaffrey is him.
He really is. He's the best. I think he might be the best player in the NFL today.
The very best player.
Number one on the NFL 100 thing they do at the beginning of the year. Like, I think it's him.
Numero uno.
Yeah.
If he keeps on doing this, he'll first ballot.
Oh gosh, yeah. Like, I mean, if he gets another 1,000 season, like, I don't know if he'll be able to get there this year. I was looking at his stats. I think he's still, I don't know. He's got 3 games left. We'll see what they do with him. But if he gets another 1,000 season in the next year or two to go with the one he had here, that he'd be the only person in history to do it twice.
Only one in history.
And I think he can. I think he
might already be kind of in that conversation.
He might be. I already kind of looked at him like a Marshall Faulk type. He just hasn't had the hardware yet. He just once you put a ring on his finger, the perception and the talk about him is going to completely change. Like, they're going to start talking all time, like, with him. And it's a perfect segue over to the part of the show that we're going to have with Cam Newton and his comments from last week, because I didn't even pull this clip. He was talking about C-Mac on the same show, and he was like, we talked about this actually about 2 weeks prior on the show about going back in the timeline. What would you change? And they asked him the question, and he was like, I'll even go back further than where they did. I wouldn't have never traded C-Mac. And he was like, bro, they didn't know how to use him. Like, he was practicing every day and then getting 40 touches or whatever in a game, and they wouldn't sit him. Yeah, they would never. I mean, granted, he wanted to practice. They should have sat him on Wednesdays as a vet or whatever.
Listen, when you got a beast back there, you're supposed to control him. You're supposed to say, "Hey, look, I know you want to be out there, but we want to make sure we tranquilize you for a second so that we
got to protect."
But I mean, and it's hard because you have a player that's that great, and he's wanting to do certain things a certain way, and his preparation is so on point and so fascinating. At the end of the day, at the running back position, the way he prepares, you don't want to touch it, and you're afraid to touch it. But as a coach, your job is to manage your players and manage and delegate your roster. And so, Cam was on that, that team with him where he was going off, and he witnessed it firsthand.
2018, I think it was the 2018 season.
Yeah.
Where now it felt like when we had him.
And if it's something that Cam's seeing, like, wait a minute, because I remember when I played, like, if I had my ankles sore, I was not practicing.
Yeah.
Okay. It was like, hey, coach, listen, my feet ain't got it.
I need a
If you want me to eat on Sunday, these feet have to rest.
And McCaffrey, bless his heart, never really did that from all accounts, and started having some lower leg injuries.
And two, I think it's a little bit of like, yeah, Christian might have wanted to be out there at practice, but at the end of the day, like, as a player, I'm pretty sure he would have taken a bone. He would have taken bones, and so I fault the decision to not give him a bone or force him a bone. Like, here, take it every day this week.
So Mark Burks is saying, hey, y'all do a really good job keeping the fan base informed. I feel like every time I disagree with any of y'all, I get proven wrong, and I'm here for it. Thank y'all. Hey, man, we appreciate you stopping by Bleav in Panthers podcast. It's been a hard year, but we've tried to keep the content light. We've tried to keep it interesting for everybody that comes through, and we try to make it interactive so you guys can, blow off some steam or give your opinions or whatever it may be. So we do appreciate everybody stopping by to watch and everything. Again, Stu with the segues today, because you just kind of lead me along into these these different segments, because that goes straight to Cam Newton. And I really wanted to have a conversation about his comments from last week about game manager versus game changer, because on one hand, we all know Cam Newton was a game changer. Like that, if there's anybody out there that could actually speak on this, it would be him. Like, he knows what it's like to be a game changer. And number two, game manager is not a bad thing to be.
Not a bad thing to be. It's
Tom
a
Brady
great
was a
thing
game
to be.
manager. Yeah, Tom Brady was the greatest game manager of all time. He just happens to be the greatest quarterback of all time too. I think in some ways Peyton Manning was kind of a game manager. He needed things around him. Who else? Drew Brees. Like, these dudes we consider top 5, top 6 all-time quarterbacks. A lot of them are game managers.
You're just now starting to see quarterbacks coming into the league that have the ability to take over a game because they can run out of the pocket.
Right.
And they're running, and now what's happening, they're running with the intention of throwing. You know what I'm saying? Like, back in the day, Mike Vick, if he's taking off, he's about to run. He gone. Hey, you ain't catching him.
Nah.
And so now, and then you get guys like Cam, who came into the league. He's in the pocket, protection might be breaking down a little bit. He stays in the pocket. He can act like a Big Ben, shrug a guy off the shoulders. And when I say shrug a guy off the shoulders, I'm talking about shrug a 325-pound D lineman off his shoulder and still, keep his eyes down the field and connect with, a deep crossing route or whatnot. And then, or you have a guy like him that can roll out of the pocket, but he's got his eyes down the field.
I think he's the blueprint.
He's looking for, like, I'm going to run, but if I see a touchdown down the field, I'm about to launch this thing. Or if I see a way that I can deliver a ball and pick up 15 rather than me taking off and getting my head blasted.
Yeah.
And, and so you want to talk about a blueprint? I think that's what you're about to say.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think he's a trailblazer in that department.
Because he's kind of a mix of, because like you just eloquently put, Michael Vick and those guys, they were different in terms of if they took off running, they would run first. Cam had a little mix of that. Plus, he's still, I've always said, to me, Cam Newton, the player in my lifetime that reminded me the most of Cam Newton was Randall Cunningham. Like, the way he kind of played, the way he kind of eluded tacklers in the backfield, his arm, and his ability to throw. But Randall was kind of ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time. And Cam took that on a bigger frame and played kind of the same way. And I've always kind of said the same thing for both of them. But if you look at, like, when Cam came into the league 2011 to now, the top quarterbacks in the league today, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, they've all taken things from Cam. So like,
yeah,
when people ask him, do you think you're a first ballot Hall of Famer? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, he is a first. But like, if he's not, who is? Like, he literally checks all the boxes. So
like, he's a trailblazer as a player, but he's also a trailblazer in the department of what is the NFL today.
Yes,
you know, you talk about fanmanship, like the fan. Is it fanmanship?
I was going to let slide. Sportsmanship, but like, the entertainment value of it. Like he understands that.
Like he understands the brand. He understands what it is, to carry yourself authentically and to do it in a way that's, hey, I'm gonna get judgments cast my way, which has given a lot of the players now, the leeway to just be themselves in a league where once upon a time it wasn't be yourself, it was be the script,
right? Yeah,
be this way.
Don't walk off the beaten path,
especially at the quarterback position. You know what I'm saying? And
it's not like he's trying to be bigger than the Shield. His personality is just so big that it's hard to contain it, and he doesn't try.
He's a game changer.
Yeah, he's a game changer.
That's what a game changer does. Like, hey, look, I'm here to rock the ship, and here we go, and we're gonna do it. And we're like, every time he got in that huddle, bro, we could have been down 15 with 3 minutes to go. He got in that huddle. Oh, we about to win.
you feel the confidence off of him. Yeah, the energy. You're just like, okay, I'm a ride with you. And that's does a game manager do that? Some of them can. Tom Brady. Yeah. Tom Brady can do that too. But I think the difference is like physical. Like game changers can do things that game managers can't do. Like they literally just can't do it. Pat Mahomes can do things with a football that Brock Purdy can't do. Now Brock Purdy's an interesting conversation right now because people are trying to figure out where to put him. Is he a game changer or a game manager? I think he's a game manager because he's managing a lot of talent that's sitting out there in front of him. He's got to make sure he don't turn the ball over, and they're going to do the rest.
But it takes a little bit of like I feel like there is a little bit of in between, right? And because just because you have a lot of players around you, don't mean that you're going to be able to put up, right?
They did go through a couple of quarterbacks before they got to Purdy. To your point, yeah.
It's like, hey, look, throw it to this guy. Okay. Why didn't you throw it to that guy? Oh, well, because I was late on my timing, or because I didn't see him on time, or because I was looking the other way. Yeah. Like, it still takes a special player to be able to like decide where the ball goes when you have 4 guys that are going to be all pro this year on that roster in the skill position.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody in the skill position is going to the Pro Bowl or will get voted to go there. I wasn't even going to do one this week.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why we messed up.
I did want to address it because it's from actually last week from this, and actually Richard Fearing reminded me in the comments. Well, no, that's not it. Desmond and Jonathan, appreciate you guys. And Schuyler, keep up the great work you do. Merry Christmas and keep pounding. Keep pounding to you too, sir. It was the one before that. The way people came at Cam wasn't right. They didn't make it about his opinion. They made it about him personally, and that's not right. I totally agree. Because if somebody else
always done.
Yeah, that's what they've always done. They've treated him a certain way because of the hats he wears or what. He's the only person, I swear, he's the only football player ever where I would be getting in arguments with people on Facebook on Wednesday about what this dude wore on Sunday at the podium.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, why are we even having this argument about the dude's dress? Like, why do we care what he's wearing? Like, what did he do on Sunday? Let's talk about that. No, he looks crazy. He's got this hat on. He's got overalls with a bib and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Let that man dress the way he wants.
People are afraid of change, especially when they know it's good, because that means they have to change.
Exactly. So let me go ahead and hit the clip first, and then because I got people asking questions about certain quarterbacks in the league. So here's the original clip that said, well, actually, this is a response after the first clip went out to when other talking heads in the media started coming back at him like, dude, you're sitting at home. You have no reason to talk about who's a game changer, game manager. That's not the tip he was on, and he tried to address it this way.
that I want to make here is this: identifying the difference between a game manager and a game changer. Game manager is not a negative connotation. Cam, what do you mean by game manager? My definition of that managing player is a player who has the ability to make the right play at the right time, protecting the football at all costs. There's times in my career where I figured this out. Sometimes, Cam, you don't have to take over a game. Allow other players to do that. If we're getting personal here, there was times in my career where I did it, and there's times in my career where I didn't do it.
And second of all, shout out to, I don't know what he did over the past like 6 months, but Cam Newton's social media and like entertainment game has exploded in terms of his podcasting and that kind of stuff. It's starting to push through.
It's really, really getting going. And excited to see where it goes.
Me too.
Him
Me
and
too.
Brandon Marshall teaming up together, traveling and doing some things.
I saw that they're going on tour or something. Yeah, that's actually pretty awesome. So stuff like that. I don't know how often you talk to Cam these days or whatnot, but man, if you could drop a little note in his ear, hey man, why don't you come and check out the Bleav in Panthers podcast? We'll do the whole show with you. We'll just because it feels like you could sit down with Cam and just talk for like an hour and 15 minutes about just life, just go through all these things. So. Literally. I think, I was thinking about this the other day too. He might be my favorite NFL player of all time. Like, it was Bo Jackson for the longest, but
like, and what you think about, right? Like, Cam, I talked about this one time. He played on an offense in college that's had no players on his offense. The team that he won the national championship with, none of those players started an NFL game.
Right. Yeah. And they weren't that good the year before he was there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. They were like 5-7.
Game changer. He's a game changer.
Game changer.
And the crazy thing is he did it the way everybody dreams of doing it. Think about that. When you dream of a touchdown and celebrations, you're smiling, you're slapping hands, fans, you're giving balls away. Like your dreams are actually like exaggerated. Cam played football and performed and gave people the entertainment that they all wanted and dreamed of.
We took it for granted too. Because now, you know how many Panther fans would love to have that back in Bank of America Stadium? Like, dude, I remember how I went in 2015, I actually went and watched y'all play Houston. I think it was like week 3 or something. It was hot. Like we were, how it is Bank of America, like you sit on a certain part of the stadium, there's no shade. So like if you're playing an afternoon game, you're just baking out there. And that was the game where Cam flipped into the end zone at the end. Dude, I hadn't been to Bank of America Stadium where it had been that loud. And then the playoffs, oh my God, the Cardinals game and the Seattle game and the playoffs, I've never heard Bank of America Stadium so loud. Like it felt like it was shaking through the TV. And it was just the personalities on that team with you and and Olsen and everybody, but Cam being like the leader of that. The reason when you see these coordinated end zone like celebrations now with teams, started with Cam.
It started with
Cam and y'all's team 2015. Like y'all doing the pictures on the sidelines.
Yeah, fined for it. Oh, dude, let's take it to the sideline then. Okay,
so
let's go to the sideline.
It had to be so worth it because at that point, there's still the picture that's out there where it's like literally. I think the game is still going on. Like it's towards the end of the regular season.
Quarter.
Yeah, it's like
we beat somebody behind. We beat somebody behind. Like and that was when we were like, going with the whole 7-0, 8-0, 9-0.
Hey, y'all were the worst 14-0 team of all time, according to the talking media. Whatever. And I still, in that picture, the thing that stands out to me, I'm gonna go find it when we're done. So the thing that stands out to me, Greg Olsen is standing there, like off to the side, just like. everybody's cheesing and like dabbing and stuff, and Olsen's just kind of like he almost looks like he didn't know where he was, like he didn't know what was going on, and he's just kind of standing there looking with his look on his face. And I just remember thinking, man, that wasn't at the end of a game. Like I think the defense is still out there. I think they're still playing like while it's going on.
Shoot, some of the defensive players was over there.
Yeah, it was blowing somebody out. So the fans kind of took that for granted, and now I think in hindsight, when they're hearing Cam talk about certain things, they just kind of reminisce about that because that honestly was the peak of Carolina Panther football, that 2013 to 2018 stretch, I guess you could
18,
say,
17,
in the
15,
history of it, 3 division titles and all that good stuff. So the final thing I wanted to hit before we got out of here, though, in the QB room, who actually Chris Lee from WRAL told me to go watch. It was an interview he had with who's this? It's not Kyle Allen. It's it is. It's Kyle Allen and Jordan Palmer. Their pod, and they had Cam on, and they were talking about on the timeline for the Panthers. What would you do to change it to avoid this? Because Cam, throughout the episode, he's like, I want to show that I'm still a part of Charlotte. I'm still part of North Carolina. I'm still part of this community. I just have that much love for it. And he was describing some of the stuff he would do, like after games or whatever. And they asked him the question, and he was like, I don't want to be. Well, they basically asked him, would you be considered to be a coach if you want to come in and be a coach? And he was like, no, I don't want to be the coach. I want to be the president, which is something I never really thought of before. But then he kind of went into it, and it made sense. And I don't want to go into whether it's possible or any of that kind of stuff. I want to go into more of, would the fan base accept it, and are the reasons he's giving as to why he would be a good team president actually accurate? And here's the actually, I haven't pulled it yet.
It's in the seats, right? Especially premium seats. You talk about PSLs and you talk about a lot of things, and I think Cam, he has the qualities to sell tickets. Think about that.
Oh, yeah. I think he's proven that.
So he's proven that. So I mean, yeah, he's proven that with his play, but like you think about the things that he did as far as his own personal brand. Think about that. His
we
own
just
personal
talked about
brand.
it. Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. And I think we talk about culture. We're really talking about what's our DNA. You know what I'm saying? Like, and how do we share that? How do we make this not just, the Carolina Panthers thing? How do we make this the Charlotte thing? How do we make this the Raleigh thing? How do we make this the Greenville thing? How do we make this the Spartanburg thing? Touch every city of the Carolinas.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And how do you relay that message? And I feel like, a guy like Cam, he's got all the unique qualities to be able to, do anything. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and obviously being a team president, there's clearly qualifications that you need to have to really have that title. And I'm pretty sure when he said that, he's not sitting here saying like, "Hey, hire me." But I had that question when he said it, because I was like, "Is he qualified for it?" But then I was like, "Well, nowadays I feel like it." But I won't even touch that, because I mean, right now we have the Carolina Panthers have a team president. And so, but as far as Cam goes, like what he can do for the organization, shoot, you can give him a whole different title, ambassador or whatever it is. But like
player personnel,
but someone that giving him a title that has free reign to to be able to voice certain things and be heard on certain things and point things in a certain direction. Not saying that, again, this is something that he was actually saying he wants to do, but I'm saying his qualities, the things that Cam can do, and the things that he represents, and how he has delivered his personal brand throughout his playing time in college and in the pros and post football. Like he gets it. He understands what it means to sell. He understands what it means to entertain. He understands what the fans are expecting. He understands, what it means to give back. He knows what it's like to be in the community. He knows what it is to be, in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And to share that, heart on his sleeve. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think there's a lot of, great qualities about Cam that, when he says that, and, fans hear it, they get excited because they see that. They see, man, if Cam was our team president, that would be amazing. Because you want to know why? Cam was a part of a lot of people's core memories.
Exactly.
As a Panther fan.
Yes. And that's what hit me the most when listening to him. So I'm like, he just detailed out all of my fears that I've put out on this podcast the past 3 or 4 weeks about what was going to happen with the culture of the Carolina Panthers when they bring in another coach. Like Frank Reich got sold to us basically because he was a Carolina Panther. Like that's what sold him to us, was that he was the first quarterback that started. He lived in Charlotte for 20 years. He knew what keep pounding meant. Like all these things that we loved about Steve Wilkes, it was kind of easier for us to come off of Wilkes because it was Frank Reich and because of what he meant to the community. So when you fire him, 11 games in, I'm more worried about, I don't want you to chase the culture. Like, I don't want you to put somebody here just because they're from North Carolina and just because, they have association with it, but it's got to make sense. Like, it's got to make sense in terms of David Tepper, you're from Pittsburgh.
They need a game changer.
They need a game changer. Now, Bryce might very well be that person, but they need somebody in the front office too that league officials and owners are going to listen to and respect when it comes to talking Carolina Panther business. Like someone that knows the history of the Panthers and the community and what it means to the people here. Like you said, half of my or a third of my life was watching Cam Newton play Carolina Panther football. Like, and again,
right now the Carolina Panthers have a team president, and
we're not saying kick him out. We'll make that clear.
Declare the fact that we're not saying
let him go.
Talking about the qualities that Cam has.
Yes,
as far as
make a position for him, bring him in.
Talking about the point, but every team has a team president. Every team has.
They did it for Jim Caldwell and Dom. We still don't know what Dom Capers is doing. Well, maybe we do because the defense is off the chain. So maybe that's what he's been doing all year. So who knows? And actually, that's probably.
and everybody has a team president for a reason. And,
yes,
that position is an important position.
Who is our team president?
Christy Coleman.
Oh, that's right.
And so at the end of the day, Cam, making that comment again, he's not saying hire me as the team president because that's what's wrong. But he's saying I have the qualities to be able to enhance the situation the way I know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day too, it's that could happen, but we will never know.
No.
Okay. So,
so can't you doing what you're doing? And eventually, who knows down the road, 10 years from now, who knows what's going to happen? So
who knows? I mean, if he is a team president, that'd be great. One day, that'd be good for his resume. Good for Panthers culture, Panthers history.
Real quick before we get out of here, Derek Matthew Pauly asking Dak, a changer or a manager? I'll tell you what, he was a game manager the other night. I don't even know if he was either one. The Cowboys got curb stomped by the Bills. Sunday night when they played? They couldn't do anything. Or it was Sunday afternoon. Dallas can't play on the road for some reason. I don't know when they get on the road, because they lost to Arizona on the road too. It's I think the San Francisco game was on the road. So I don't know, but Dak is not. I can't say Dak is a game changer. He don't change the game the way a Cam Newton would, where you don't really scheme for Dak. I don't think.
Right.
You had to scheme for Cam, when they came into town or whatever. So I think that's probably the difference. Dallin asks, this would probably never happen, but it would be amazing. Sorry, I see a UPS man coming to my door. So my dog. There she goes. There she is. Sorry, I saw him in the window. It's oh no, it's about to go down, and she saw him too. Dallin says this would probably never happen, but it would be amazing if Tepper gave Ejero the head coaching job, or at least say to his new coach, we're keeping the entire defensive coaching staff. In the beginning, I actually felt oh man, all of them are gone. Then I started thinking about it. They held Chris Tabor over from the last regime. They held James Campion, the offensive line coach, over from the last regime. So those were David Tepper calls. Who's to say David Tepper doesn't go to Ejero and look, I'm going to make you the highest paid defensive coordinator in the entire league. You stay here. Let me go get a coach and an offensive-minded coach. Let's put this thing together, because I don't want Chris Tabor to leave either. Chris Tabor, special teams.
Tabor needs to stay.
Yeah.
And
is that possible? Do you think now, is that possible that maybe Ejero stays as defensive coordinator or assistant head coach?
I think at this point it's up to him, right? Because, given his 1 year tenure here, he's done tremendous. He's done a tremendous job. There's no reason why we should be ranked number 3 defense when we can't
at all.
Put points on the board.
Mathematically, I can't figure out how it's even possible. But
now, I mean, it could, register the fact that, hey, look, you have a team that can't score and haven't scored. So, what you've been doing is, managing a team that's running the ball to try to run the clock out. So you're not really having to defend as many passes in the fourth quarter, third quarter, what have you.
Short fields, turnovers,
and just turnover on downs. So, I mean, there's a lot that can go into that. But at the end of the day, it could be way worse.
Yeah. I mean, we are giving up like 21 points a game or whatever. So it's not like it's like the doomsday defense or the 85 Bears or anything like that. But they've been like this all year.
But they've kept us in games.
Yes.
And they've been able to keep us watching the game until somewhere in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Dallin makes a great point. Without Shaq and all the injuries, this defense is really, really good. Can you imagine if Shaq had been out there all year? Or if J.C. Warren had been out there all year? Or
we would have had more touchdowns. We would have some defensive touchdowns too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm curious because I started thinking about this after that game. I'm like, man, we just won 9-7 on 3 field goals because this defense just kind of pitched almost a shutout. Is it possible to retain? Because I don't think he'll become head coach. Because it does seem like they're stuck on. I am starting to lean towards this Ben Johnson talk, like they're talking, but I'd like it in coordination with keeping Ejero, like keep him as DC, bring in Ben Johnson as your head coach and offensive coordinator or whatever you want to do.
I think Evero, if he was given a head coaching job for the Carolina Panthers, I would not argue against it.
Me either.
But given what we have, if it's not broke, I wouldn't try to change that situation. I would do whatever it takes to keep him here. And I think with offensive minded head coaches, like I've kind of like I've been biased, right? Because Coach Rivera, was a defensive minded head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played for nothing but defensive minded head coaches, and I love them because they love running the ball.
Yep.
But when it comes to like this day and age in football, like, where clearly we learned that we have to be able to score. We have to be good in the red zone. We have to be able to create different looks on offense and have guys, in different positions to win. And the hardest part about that is the identity of an offense. When you're having offensive coordinators come in and out of situations, we can have the best offensive coordinator with a head coach. You know what I'm saying? With a defensive-minded head coach, the defensive coach is going to stay here, right? Because he's got a head coaching job.
Yep.
But the moment you hire an offensive coordinator that's really good, he's going to leave because he's going to try to go get he's going to try to get a head coaching job,
maybe
right?
in like 18 months. Yeah, you're right.
So now you're stuck with a defensive head coach that's like, okay, now I got to figure out this offensive identity for what we need moving forward. But if you have an offensive-minded head coach, you're running with what he's got planned, right? And you're bringing in an offensive coordinator that is on the same wavelength. Yeah. So much so to where you're not having to hold his hand. You know what I'm saying?
I'll end it with this because a thought crept in my head after watching that Bills-Cowboys game.
Mm-hmm.
What if the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers next year is Joe Brady? Currently the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, who got promoted because they fired.
Or what if the offensive coordinator stays Thomas Brown? And you have an offensive-minded head coch come in.
Well, his wife already told us they're fired, so I don't know if
I'm just out here. I don't
know if they stand or not. Richard says if we get Ben Johnson, a good candidate to pair with him as GM would be Ryan. I think it means Ray Agnew, the assistant GM for the Lions. Agnew has connections with Ejero Evero as well. Agnew has connections to, not to me, but to my community. He played at Winston-Salem State, and he's big here in the area. There's like streets named after him and stuff up here. So yeah, if he came in from Detroit to be the GM, which means we're kind of shoving Scott Fitter out the door, and we didn't stop with the trials. We just put it on pause because we won a game. So next week will be Scott Fitter on trial whether or not he deserves to stay. He's been given no assurances, according to Joe Person, that his job is secure for next year. So we'll see about that. I think we can get out of here because Instagram's telling me they only do this for an hour on live things, so they just ended us anyway. So we'll go ahead and stop it right
this
there.
Was on Instagram? I just realized it was on Twitter too.
I just put it on Instagram. They just opened it up on StreamYard like 2 days ago where you can put it on Instagram Live. So it's on the Bleav in Panthers Instagram thing there. And it's on Twitter as well, on the Bleav in Panthers Twitter account, so you can share the full shows from there. We'll be back next week. Hopefully the whole gang will be together again. Schuyler, today's National Signing Day in college football, so Schuyler's probably neck deep in like transfers and incoming freshmen who left. Like college football is off the chain right now in terms of trying to track roster movement. So he is busy. He's super busy right now. But he should be back next week.
My prediction this week,
is
that Carolina Panthers going to beat the Green Bay Packers.
It's a home game, right?
Yeah, 24-13.
I've seen good Jordan Love this year, and I've seen bad Jordan Love this year, and I don't know which one's going to show up. I think the Jordan Love that's going to show up is the one that he knows he's got to get back home for Christmas. Yeah, so we'll. It's Christmas Day, isn't it? In that Sunday,
Christmas Eve.
No, it's Christmas Eve. Okay, so and I Bleav it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. It's here. I need to adjust my Christmas Eve party stuff, because we're having Christmas Eve party. So I think it's the early game. What kind
of snacks y'all gonna have?
Dude, I think I'm gonna do some meatballs, like crock pot meatballs that I do. Some chicken wings, maybe some finger foods or something. Hey man, if you up here in the area, come through. Come bring you and your lady.
How you make your chicken wings?
Lately I've been air frying them, just because it's healthier, instead of putting them in grease. So I'll little baking powder. Some seasoning, get it just so you got a little crispy coating, put them in there, spray them for a little bit, about 18 minutes, put them out, toss them in whatever, good to go. And I needed to get at it because I had a Fry Daddy. My parents are always complaining about me eating greasy foods, and they bought me a Fry Daddy for for Christmas one year. I'm just frying everything, and they're complaining about it. I'm like, you bought it for me. Like, what am I supposed to do? You gave it to me. So I don't know, but we're doing Christmas dinner too. So what's right here as we get out? What's the thing you want for Christmas this year?
Man, I really don't want anything. I would say, just continue, health for my family, my friends. I think that's the greatest gift right there. And just for all of y'all that don't know Jesus, they better get to know him. It's his birthday coming up, okay? It's his birthday.
Jesus, brother.
But that's really the greatest gift of all, is just, for me, just knowing that I have a Lord and Savior.
I knew I was getting old when the top of my list was like t-shirts and socks. Like, I want them. Please give me some socks and t-shirts, because I'm burning through them. So I definitely getting old man stuff, but I love it. The stuff that I need. So we'll be back after Christmas, because Christmas is on Monday. I think we'll be back on Tuesday next week. We'll check and see, because things should be died down a little bit with the holidays coming to a close over the weekend. Again, the Panthers taking on the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love this Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. on Fox. Definitely check that out. If you're just now joining us, follow us on our social media platforms. Bleav in Panthers on Twitter. Bleav in Carolina Panthers on Instagram. The Bleav in Panthers page on Facebook is actually under review, because I think they thought we were doing something. So I don't know if you can even see it over there, but you can follow us on our social media, as you see there, for Stu and for myself. And Schuyler. Schuyler is a beat writer for the Panthers, for All Panthers SI. So if you want up-to-the-minute news there, definitely follow him at Callihan _ on Twitter. And go follow the Tobacco Road YouTube page. So whenever we're about to come out with a new show, you'll have a notification that we're about to come on. I know some of y'all were joking earlier on that you probably got 5 notifications over the past couple of days for when we were going to start, because I kept moving the time around. But we appreciate y'all sticking it out and watching the show. If you just now came in, because I see a flood just started coming into the show, because I think Stu just shared it to Twitter. You can watch the full thing.
Sorry about that. Y'all can come back next week.
Yeah, you can watch the whole. You can still watch the whole thing. Just go to youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Rate, subscribe. The whole thing is there.
You can check us out on all podcasts. The
audio will be on the Bleav Podcast Network a little bit later on the day. So for Jonathan Stewart, For our comrade Schuyler Callihan from Sports Illustrated, I'm Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks, brought to you by Bet Online. Keep pounding.